Okay, I'm going to show you how to create chapter 6 tutorial 4. And this is on uh, the textbook is PTC Creo Parametric 3.0 by Professor Sham Tico. And my name is Professor Mohsen Zadeh from San Diego Mesa College. I teach Engineering 151. I thought maybe if I record this, it will benefit my students and other people that would like to know how to create solid models using Creo Parametric. Okay, let's get it started. And we're going to go with new. And my advice to you is if you're going to save it on a flash drive, make sure your removable drive is ready and you have create a main directory and create a subdirectory so you can save your stuff, okay? So this is just so we're doing the tutorial so you know what to do for saving it. So we're gonna say chapter, okay? We're gonna say chapters 6 dash, no spacing, okay? No spacing in Creo, tutorial. So we have this tutorial 4 for chapter 6 and we say okay. We're going to activate the datum plane. So we have 3 planes, the frontal plane and horizontal plane and profile plane. So first we're going to use extrude. Okay, we click on extrude, placement, define, and then click on the frontal plane because we're going to place the base feature on the frontal plane. And then automatically we should have a right. It says top, no problem. You just say top or right references. Okay, so you say a sketch, and that is sketch view. Okay, so now we're gonna remove all the other plane. So we have a clear picture here. Default coordinate systems. Okay, excellent. So we're gonna use a center line in here. Okay, we're going to use center line. We put the center line on a vertical axis and the center line on a horizontal axis. So first we're going to, and then use the middle mouse button to deactivate the command that you've used. So we're going to create a rectangle, and that's a corner rectangle. So we're going to go to here. Oops, that's not a rectangle we wanted. And there's a other rectangle. You won't see that if it's that is there's a other option. Is it more? Okay, this is a rectangular shape. That is maybe there's a more. Okay, corner rectangle. And instead of that's the type of rectangle we wanted. So we're gonna stretch it until we get this symmetric. Okay. So that's a symmetric, and we middle click, and we're going to give a dimension for this one is 300. The total dimension is 300 millimeters. Okay, so that's 300. So we're going to enter 300, and then we say enter. Okay, then the height is 20. Okay, so the height is 20. So let's see, where are we? 20 and enter. Okay, 20. Next we're going to this is the base feature. Okay, the base feature we're creating. So we need to create let's see if I can shift this. Okay, so we're gonna create a circle, 2 concentric circle. So we're gonna start from here, and that is we're gonna stretch it so that we have another circle with 2 different radii. Okay, now we're gonna just use. Let me see if I can just adjust that. So we're gonna use the dimensioning. So this one, the outside circle, it should have a radius of 105, correct? 105. Enter. And this one here should be the radius should be 80. Okay, the radius is 80, and enter. Okay, let's just move them a little bit around so you can see that. Okay, if this happened, all you have to do is hit sketch view. You click on the sketch view, it will be the line of sight will be perpendicular to the plane. And then if you want to bring it back, auto scale it, that's what you do. and then move the dimension a little bit lower, and okay, and that is here. And let me see, I just wanted to I want to move this around. Okay, so move this around so you can see that better. Now we have a dimension called the center of the circle to the edge of the rectangle, and that should be 40. Okay, that's a 40. Enter. Okay, great. So we're having fun so far, and we have created the two concentric circles. They share the same center, and then we have the this dimension here for the total width of a rectangle. So let's just trim a little bit, okay? We need to do the trimming. So I'm going to trim this portion of, see, this is, we don't need this here. We don't need this piece. And we don't need this piece, right? Oops. We need to just bring it back. And this is, we're going to trim this one, trim this piece here. Okay, it's a little bit, you have to be patient on this one, okay? So you have to think of what you're doing. And then this part here, we needed to add this line in here. So we're going to just trim this piece, and then we don't need that. And we don't need this one, we don't need that piece. And then we need to add this one here. So let me just trim that and put the line back, okay? So we can go from here, because I trimmed it by mistake, so we're going to put the line back, okay? So everything is good to go. So we have the, make sure that all the measurements should be strong, okay? A strong dimension, so no weak dimension, and you can just check to see if that's a strong. This is a strong dimension. That's a strong dimension, a strong dimension. But this is, we wanted to make this symmetrical, okay? Symmetrical. So, and then I need to trim this piece. That's why I'm showing that. So let me see if I can grab this one here. Okay, so far so good. And I'm going to use symmetric as a constraint. We call it symmetric. So I can use this point with this point, and then the axis. So we have symmetric. It's this point. We're going to just delete that. So it will keep that. Plus, I need to give the dimension, the total dimension, from this line to this line. We have the total dimension, and then we're going to delete that 80.718. So now we have a total measurement of, can you see? I think it's easy to see it, right? If I just pick that, so I can move it up. So this is our final base feature. I think it's, since it's showing all shade means the sketch is complete, and we're going to extrude that. Okay, so everything is ready to go, and we're going to go check, and now we have to give a depth of 150. Okay, you can come here and just say this is 150. Then you say enter, and then hold the middle mouse key and then rotate them so that you can see that the direction of the extrude, and everything is good to go. So we go that. Okay, so now we have the first base features created. Now we go to the second extrude. If you look at the model tree, it indicates that the extrude 1 is completed. Now we go to extrude number 2, and that is we click on shift and middle click. You can move them around, okay? So you can relocate the part. And if your part, if you lift your finger from the shift and then you try to rotate them, you can rotate that. But if you want to look at the front view, you can just look at the front view by clicking on the front. That's the front view. It's a good idea to always check so that you know the orientation, okay, of your solid model. So if I go top view, that's the top view. It's showing the top view. And then if we go and look at the bottom view, that's the bottom view, okay. And there we go. And that's the bottom view, okay. Great. So next we're going to create a shape that on a bottom view we say extrude, placement, define, and then we're going to click on this surface here. Let me just show you that in here. I'm going to click on that surface. That's the direction of where we're going to sketch the second feature. So we say sketch, and then we go to a sketch view. Everything is ready to go. So we can just change the shade to maybe no hidden, so you can see a clear picture, so you know where we're at. Sometimes it's a good idea to use the project. That's a temporary line that normally we use that to be able to create, for example, a center line that goes through the midpoint. See that? It says midpoint. So I can create that. And then just don't forget, this is important, that you need to remove that temporary line, okay? That causes problem when you want to extrude. So try to get rid of that, and then get rid of that. So you have your center line. Also, we're going to have a center line. We call it a vertical center line. It's good to have those center lines so you can, as a reference, so you can use it as a for symmetrical purposes. So you want to come up with a symmetric. This way, your sketch will be strong or fully defined. As in SolidWorks, they say fully defined, but here we say converting the sketch from weak dimension to a strong dimension. So okay, next we want, let's just put, by clicking right click. Let me see if I have that again. The right click, we have references. I'm trying to find out where the references are. Oh, this is a references here, so I don't have to go here. So that's the references. I'm going to click on this here, click on here, and that's all we have. That's a temporary reference line. Next, we're going to create a circle. That circle has a diameter of 150. Okay, diameter of 150, and enter. Next, we have two circles with the same radius. So one in here, and then one along the same axis. Okay, same axis. It's a good idea to keep it as the same radius because they have the diameter of 50 or radius of 25. Okay, so before we do anything, I'm going to apply or impose the constraint called symmetric. So I'm going to click on this center and center of this circle and the axis, and that shows us symmetric. How do you know it's symmetric? Because there's two arrows. If you can see that, there's two arrows pointed toward each other. Okay, so now I'm going to give the diameter. The diameter here is, I believe it's 50, correct? It's a 50. As soon as I enter 50, it's going to change the diameter for both circles because both circles have the same radii. So we're going to enter, see that it did that. And then we have to give it dimension, the dimension from center of this circle to this circle. And that should be, oops, that should be about 250, okay? 250, enter, okay? Beautiful. So we have no weak dimension, okay? All the dimensions are strong dimensions. Let me pull it to the side so you can see it. Now we're going to use a line. We have we have a line chain and we have a tangent line. Let me see if I can find the tangent line in here. So we go more, and then we have line, and then we go to tangent line, okay? So that's a tangent line. So we click on this circle, so it will automatically position that, so that will be tangent to each other. The line tangent to the curve, tangent to this curve. Okay, beautiful. So then we go to escape or middle click to terminate the command. Then we go trim. So let's just zoom it a little bit so we can see it. So we can just trim. Okay, see that? The trim. Oops. Then we go and do the same thing on this side. And this is that. Okay, this is okay. You can trim it. Now, if you wanted to do a little bit of cosmetic work, I like to give the radius here instead of diameter for the anytime you have a circle that's less than 360, we just call it radius. So we don't give it diameter. So we just give a radius of 25. And this is also, this should be 75. So if I position that here, it's a 75 instead of 150. So we can just get rid of the under 50, and we have a a radius of let me see, that radius is diameter of 150. Let me just try this again. Okay, so this should be a radius of 75, so I'm going to get rid of the 150. Okay, beautiful. So sketch is complete. Okay, the second extrude, our sketch is completed. Always pay attention to point of tangency. Okay, that's very important, point of tangency. Then we're going to go back to shade, convert back to shade. So a little bit rotate to see where you're at. Okay, rotate you. Okay, so maybe I'm not used to the mouse on the laptop, so that's why I'm a little bit of slow on that. Normally I'm fast on actual, and the other type of mouse. So I'm right here, and I'm gonna say extrude. Okay, extrude, and we're gonna just reverse the arrow, and then we use the cut. Okay, this is the cut. Remove material. Do not worry that it poked a hole through this here. So all we have to do is, see that there's a big hole in there. Just look for this arrow. See that arrow? Click on the arrow, so you reverse the arrow. Now exactly what we wanted, we have it here, and then we say okay. All right, beautiful. Next, we're gonna create a datum plane. Okay, datum plane. So we're gonna put a datum plane on this surface. So if I click on this surface here, let me just move them a little bit so you can see that. I wanted to look at this and click on that surface. I'm going to put a datum plane, and datum plane should be on that surface. As a reference as 0, 0. Let me just go to 0. That should be 0 and okay. So that means this plane, okay, let's get rid of all that. That plane is attached to the bottom, okay, bottom of this feature. So we're gonna offset that. Okay, let me just edit that again. Okay, I need to go here and edit this DTM1, and by editing that, we can just enter -150, correct? -150, enter. So you can see that your datum plane is highlighted. That means is active. Right here is highlighted, and then we can say extrude. As soon as I click on extrude, it automatically will see that is going to be this. The next sketching plane will be on this DTM1. Okay, so we're gonna say extrude, and now automatically will position it itself. It says, okay, what do you want it to do? We wanted to place a circle at the dead center of this feature here, which we already have a circle there, but we need the references. So we're going to click on reference. Automatically it's going to define the center. So I will create a circle with the equal radii. See that? Drag it until you see the same R. It says R equals R. You can see that. So then we have everything is ready to go. As soon as you see the shade, that means your sketch is complete. So I will just need to a little bit rotate that and show you that we have positioned that circle on the top plane or DTM1. So we're going to click check, and now that we know the direction, it has to go down. It's correct, and all we have to do is go to the next. Okay, just go to this icon. It says extrude up to the next surface, so it's going to flush it with the surface. Okay, everything is nicely done. Look at that. Look at that. So we have it. Next, I'm going to show you how to create counter bore hole. Okay, a lot of students have seen that, or people have a tough time creating a counter bore on a cylinder. This is how we're going to do that. Let me just get rid of all the datum plane, but the only thing you need to make it active is the axis display. Okay, so that needs to be active. So I'm going to click on this surface, and then I'll go to hole tools. Let me see where I have my hole tools. Okay, so all we have to do is go to shape, and then go to this symbol here. It says use a standard hole profile as drill hole profile, and then we're going to click on a counter bore hole, and this number is 100. Okay, it's 100. Enter, and then the depth, how deep that is 20. Okay, 20. Wonderful. And then we go to diameter of the hole, which is 70, 75. Excellent. 75, enter. And we're going to use, instead of blind, we say to the next. Okay, it's a flat. See that here? So that's a bore diameter. This is how deep the bore is. And that's 75 is diameter of all. Then you hold the control button on your keyboard and then look for the axis of the cylinder. When you find that, highlight the axis of the cylinder, and then you simultaneously you're holding the control, and then with a click you can see how the mirror works. Okay, so let me just get rid of all this datum plane. Okay, we're gonna just remove them so it's easier to see it. So we go extrude, placement, define, and then we click on this surface here, and we say sketch view, and then we right click and then have a references. We put a reference here because it's a concentric circle. Solve it, close, and then we pick a circle and we place it on this, and the diameter is, what's the diameter for this circle? 20 and 20. Okay, 20. So we go in, and this is enter. So we're gonna look at it to see if this is what we wanted. Okay, yes. And then we say check, reverse the arrow. We say all the way through. Okay, this is a through hole. So we're gonna through hole. Everything is good to go. Next, we're gonna use the plane. We're gonna use the mid plane to mirror that. So while this is highlighted, we can go to mirror. Let me see. This is a mirror, and then with respect to this plane here, and we say check, so we get a hole on the other side. Okay, so far so good. I think we're done with this solid model. Okay, and then I will, okay, you can see that everything is done here. Next, I just wanted to show you, some of you when you do the drawing, you say what happened to the center line. Okay, I'm gonna just show you. See this, there is no datum axis in here, so I'm gonna use the datum. I'm gonna go to the datum axis and then click on this surface here because the open channel. Now we have a datum axis, and then you save it. Okay, we're gonna save it so it's there. If I turn the axis on, you can see that the datum axis. So this is the end of this solid model for chapter 6 tutorial 4.